So, one essential place you need to go to in Walbrzych is Książ, which is kind of behind me here under the helicopter. However, did you know there are two castles with the same name? But we have the old one, which is just behind me, which you have to hike to a bit. And you have the new one, which isn't so new, but most of the history we know is, well, most of the interesting stuff apparently is like the kind of Nazi-ish era, including like the secret underground lair that was being constructed. So join me as I educate you, or just show you the different castles you can see here in Walbrzych, and I hope you enjoy. Dzień dobry and welcome to A Brit in Poland. This channel is going to bring you everything you need to know about Poland. I am exploring the country, bringing you the history, trying to tell you about the culture and show you what it is really like to live here. So feel free to check out my other media, Instagram, Facebook, and I will share links to those in the comments. I also have a website, www.britlivinginpoland.com, where I collate my videos for easy to view manner. Also, you are welcome to contribute to my efforts through Patronite or Patreon, and all descriptions are available below the video. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and please come back for more by subscribing, liking, or commenting. Thank you very much. Do zobaczenia. So now I show you my new poster, and you get to see me scratch off number 1 on this poster, Książ Castle. So, oh yes, and this is my main poster, which familiar viewers may recognize from my earlier introductions. I do enjoy scratching these off and adding another to my collection. So, Książ is in the Lower Silesia region of Poland, just north of Walbrzych. You can get there by buses. I was lucky that there were special buses running because I went in the beginning of May at the time of the Flower Festival. So we're going to take you through the history of this place, which is quite impressive, I have to say. And first we stop at the mausoleum, which was built originally as a summer pavilion in 1734 and was changed into a mausoleum in 1883, where an unnamed daughter of the Habsburg family was buried, and it would later be home to John and Daisy, who we will talk about later. So let's go into it. So the first thing you will reach once you go past the mausoleum is an option to go to this viewpoint. As you can see, it's quite popular. You'll be queuing for a little bit, but then you get these wonderful views of the castle. So all of you photographers and Instagrammers can be happy. The castle grounds, at the time, were containing various games and stalls selling all kinds of wonderful souvenirs, food, etc. But let's go into the castle. There's a lot of history to talk about here, so I will try and cover it all. So it was originally built in 1288 to 1292 by Bolko I, called the Strict Duke of Świdnica-Jawor from the Piast dynasty, and it was called the Key to Silesia. And one legend has it that when the Duke was still a squire, he got lost in the surrounding forests. The young man searched for a way back until he came across the Książ Hill, where he saw the surrounding sea of forests and was filled with incredible delight. In this wonderful place, he found a black stone, coal, which he gave to the king himself. In gratitude for the gift, the ruler allowed the construction of a defensive stronghold on the extraordinary hill, which in connection with this legend later received the name Fürstenstein, or Prince's Stone. According to another story, it was Aphrodite herself who showed Bolko I this amazing palace. Many similar stories indicate the magical beginnings of Książ Castle. And you may recognize from Księcia some similarities. In 1509, the von Hochberg family purchased the castle and would maintain ownership for 400 years. It was originally purchased by Conrad von Hochberg for an unknown sum of gold. And in 1548, Conrad II would inherit the castle and further develop the mining interests of the town with a key focus on social care for workers. In 1683, Hans Heinrich II would gain the title of Count, further strengthening the Hochberg family importance. In 1722, the first major reconstruction of the castle, including the addition of a gatehouse, the eastern wing and salons, would take place. In 1734, the summer pavilion is built. In 1848, John Henry X gains the title of Duke of Księcia. In 1856, John Henry XI becomes Lord of the castle, and he makes dramatic improvements in the industrial development of the region. So he's building roads, parks, forests. He's massively transforming the social area of care for people, including paying for funerals and such. So basically, he's a big philanthropist who was the most notable owner of this castle and did the most and certainly had the highest reputation. In 1883, the summer pavilion is transformed into the burial chapel. In 1891, Princess Daisy, or she's affectionately known now, who was born in Wales and the name of Mary Teresa Olivia Cornwallis West, would marry John Henry XV, who was the son of John Henry XI. I don't know what happened to the other four John Henrys. This wedding was witnessed by Edward, the Prince of Wales, who would later become king, and the wedding itself was blessed by Queen Victoria. Daisy was also a distant relative of Winston Churchill, so she was a bit of like a, let's say, minor English aristocracy. In 1895, Daisy begins to write her diary, which would actually be later published as Better to Keep Silent, I believe in 2013. And yeah, she was known as being quite rebellious. And yeah, therefore rather infamous in German/Polish history. In 1897, the famous library, which had 60,000 volumes, was moved from the castle to the Gate building. Sadly, most of those books were either destroyed or lost during the war, but some of the collection still remains. In 1907, John Henry XI dies, and his vast fortune is inherited by his son, John Henry XV. In 1909, the second major reconstruction of the castle begins, with the western and northern wings being built, and the large domed tower, which apparently is English style, reminiscent of Dover, apparently. Some say that John Henry XV was kind of living in the shadow of his very, very famous father, and this was his way of being remembered in history. However, he was divorced in 1923, where Daisy, who kind of got tired of the whole situation, apparently, and she was kind of very isolated. Being neither English or German, she was kind of an outcast, and it was a bit of a shame. In 1925, John Henry would remarry to a 28-year-old Spanish aristocrat. He was 64 at the time, Clotilda de Silva. She was extravagant, yet ultimately unfaithful. She had a romance with his son, and they would be forced to marry in 1934. His son would be arrested by the Gestapo in 1936, and Daisy would have to use all of her privilege to get him away from the Gestapo, potentially selling this very famous 6-meter pearl necklace that she was said to own. However, he would die 2 months after being released, likely due to torture and harsh conditions. In 1938, Germany would take ownership of the castle, John Henry XV would die, and the Hochberg estate would slowly be confiscated. In 1941, Daisy is moved from the castle to a villa and kept under surveillance due to her British roots. The castle is completely taken over by the German forces and is planned to be turned into Hitler's headquarters. In 1943, Daisy will die and is laid to rest in a mausoleum, though her body was moved several times by servants to prevent looting by Soviet soldiers. It is said her ghost haunts the castle to this day. At this time, as you can see on the screen, we have the underground tunnels being built under the castle by concentration camp prisoners. It is said this was going to be Hitler's headquarters potentially, and the reason for the tunnel is not entirely clear, though it is likely triggered by the Americans entering the war and their giant bombing efforts. It is said to have originally been planned to be linked to the Ries complex, which is a giant underground city built by the Nazis under the Osuvka, the Al Mountains. And you can see what remains of it today. There is also said to be a lost train of gold hidden somewhere underground, which was lost by the Nazis, and of course has attracted many a treasure hunter to the area. It is said that perhaps biological weapons were being developed here, that there were V2 rockets, that there were all kinds of alien goings-on, all kinds of crazy conspiracy theories have been linked to these underground structures, and it really adds to the mystery of this rather incredible place. In 1970, the Polish People's Army would enter the area and renovation begins of the castle. And in 1991, the castle is taken over by the Walbrzych commune and has been kept under control of that to this day. So, as you can see, there is an impressive history of this castle, and it is a dramatic place to explore. It takes several hours, I will say. And coming during the Flower Festival, make sure you buy your tickets early if you want to really gain entry. But it was very crowded, of course, during the festival. But it was nonetheless amazing. They also offer some tours at night for those who are brave enough, as they say. So they're really playing up the ghost angle there. But it is a really cool place. It's a hotel, you have a restaurant, you have, of course, souvenir shops, and it's really cool. So from the castle, you can take a bit of a hike, maybe an hour or so, to get to Stary, which is a bit badly named and why I made that terrible mistake in the opening speech. So Stary was actually built in 1794 as a romantic ruin, and it was designed by Wilhelm Christian Tischbein. And it is pretty easy to get to. The hike isn't too crazy. It's a little bit up and downhill, as you would expect in this region, which is very hilly. And the castle itself was mainly inhabited by people having bonfires and picnics when I got there. It's a quite nice old ruin to go and visit. Apparently in 1800, the last Silesian Knights tournament took place here. And until the end of World War II, there was a restaurant in the old castle. Guests had 4 rooms at their disposal, and the interior of the building housed collections from the Hochberg Museum. Now it basically stands as an old ruin, which is completely open and free to the public, and is pretty fun to explore. And it gives, nearby to the castle, you have some cool walkways which give you some lovely views of the surrounding hills and the forests. And totally, this place is worth stopping by if you're in the area. I love the stonework. I have to admit, I kind of prefer ruins of castles to the reconstructed ones. But yes, as you can see, it's maybe not the biggest ruin, but I am curious what is behind that wall. Maybe the lost Nazi train. But the Polish government has deterred people from visiting to dig for gold. So do bear that in mind. And this is a nice view from the walkway. And here you can see Książ Castle in the distance. Perhaps not the greatest view of the castle, but it's still pretty cool. So there you go. This is Stary Książ. And as a bonus, we are going to visit the Palm House, or Palmiania. And this was constructed in 1908 as a gift from John Henry V to Daisy. And it's a 1,900 square meter greenhouse, gardens in a Japanese style, rosarium, a fruit and vegetable garden. The central part of the facility was a 15-meter building, the interior of which was lined with tuff from the Etna volcano. Little is said about it today, but in front of the main entrance to the facility, there was a pond with a miniature of Książ Castle on a platform. The vestibule itself was supposedly decorated with busts of Daisy, Jan Henrik V, and their 3 sons. With the advent of World War II, the Palm House was taken over by the German estate and separated from Książ Castle. The buildings were to be connected only after 70 years. So now it is basically one big palm house surrounded by some greenhouses. It didn't take me too long to go there, but it also was very inexpensive. And I'd say, like, when you're in the area of Książ Castle, it's definitely worth to pay a visit. There was a nice little cafe just outside as well, which came in handy because I was starving and I needed somewhere to shelter from the rain that broke out while I was at the castle. As you can see, it's a little bit damp in places. And it's pretty humid in there, of course, supporting various environments. But ultimately, this was a really fun day out. I was able to do just about everything in one day. So do allow a day to see everything in this video. And I really recommend Walbrzych if just for easy access to this. So thank you for watching. The next video will be going into the centre of Walbrzych and seeing some of the surrounding regions. So hope you enjoy. Please like, please subscribe, and many more videos to come. Do zobaczenia.